Hello, people. Duncan at Free as an Eagle. Just thought I'd check in and say hi. I had my wife Marilyn up yesterday for a little visit, and we walked around. She did a little live. I was trying to figure out how to upload it to my channel, but I couldn't get it figured out quickly enough, so I decided whilst I was up today to do a little work, I'd do a quick video to catch you up. Beautiful day out there, Friday, April 24th, I believe it is. And beautiful weather. I thought about going for a hike, but I had done one Tuesday and was not antsing for it quite enough to take the time, and I was mentally kind of focused on getting more work done up here. So anyway, I just wanted to show you some detail on the south end where I've got some nice big windows and I'm starting to trim out around them. So I thought I'd chat about that for a little bit. And my favorite part of this project is doing the woodworking, the finish kind of stuff. We're getting a lot of work done with the sheetrock, and I'm happy to be doing that. So while the sheetrock is waiting for some sanding and some trim strips to be made up, I'm filling in other areas. I got a lot of work done on the small dormer, which I'll show you in a couple of minutes. That came out beautifully, but man, was it a lot of work. There were little defects and things out of square and out of plumb that needed to be addressed. So that took a little extra time, always does, but it came out pretty. Then the skylight, I trimmed the inside of it. I'm going to get a bunch of, actually I got them yesterday. A delivery came of 1x4s that are going to be stained up. Thank God for my younger son, Carter. He's my stain and poly man, doing a lot of work prepping all this wood. So some of what he prepped, I've been putting in. So I'd done this upper triangle a few days ago, and that was a little tricky. So there's extension jambs that extend from the windows out, and then there's trim on the front of those. And the tricky part, I'll show you, I don't have this all done yet, so I thought I'd step in and show you some of the steps involved, because to get the wood trim to look right around windows, sometimes you got to do a little bit of shimming, because you frame rough openings to put windows in, and when they go in there, you want to get everything lined up, but there's discrepancies and things don't always work out perfectly, and you do want to leave deliberately some space for adjustment. So what I did is I made a whole box. I'll show you the box. It's got some clutter in it now, but I made a whole box of shims of different thicknesses, from anything from about 7/8 of an inch to all the way down to 1/4 inch, different sizes depending on the situation that I got in. I had all these well organized, and the box got knocked over, so that was the end of that. But I could grab out of there. So what you'll see here is there's a certain amount of reveal, they call it, the spacing between the wood and the outside edge of the window. There's different places you get a reveal. You can see in the upper part where the trim is on there, there's a little bit of spacing where the wood doesn't meet right at the corner, but it's set back a little bit, and that helps compensate for little discrepancies, and it looks pretty. So that gets done that way. And then the shims are, I put these shims in order to space the wood out to bring it out even with the edges of the window and make it look pretty. I'll show you one where I haven't put the extension jamb piece. These are extension jambs. There's a window jamb here, and these apply to both doors and windows. You get the window jamb, and then you extend it to the inside edge of the walls. And these walls are 2x8s, so they're fairly big extension jambs. But what I like about that, you end up with some nice sills. So if you want to display plants or put things on there, just knickknacks or whatever, gives you a nice space. So here's one where I haven't put the trim on yet, and you can see there's insulation that I've stuffed in along the edges of the jamb, and I just bring it in as far as the jamb goes to keep cold from coming in anywhere it really shouldn't. And I mean, the windows lose some heat, but these are double panes. I wanted triples, but I don't think they could make them in these particular four-sided windows. I had to take what I could get, but they're clear glass, so they do let sunlight in, which I like. And with the big overhang, you don't get a lot of summer sun, but in the winter, you want all you can get. So, and then you can see on this side, there's spacing along the edge there. That'll be covered with wood like what you see up top here. That'll get extended down as we fill this in. So there's 4 pieces. I put the sill piece down first. There's a piece of wire coming up there for some indirect lighting. I'm going to mount across these eventually. And so as we work our way down from the top, we'll extend the trim over these, and then there'll be a piece at the bottom, and then the lower walls will be sheetrocked up to the just below these sills, I'm going to have a strip of wood, and then that's where that's going to go. So this final piece will go in over here. I haven't nailed it yet, but I think I got the right size. So you see it fits in over these shims, and then yeah, it's a slightly tight fit on this one, which is okay. It won't fall over, and that will cap that. Then eventually we'll have trim pieces going in between to bridge the gap here in between these windows. So that's kind of how that's done. You put the extension jambs in after you've done some insulating. I don't bother to fill this with more insulation because beyond the point of the window, it traps some air and that'll help some, but there is a bit of insulation in there. I did find some pieces of metal I was able to modify to trim out this little transition box up by the ceiling. I'm not going to extremes with that. It looks a little redneck, but it works very well. The stove works beautifully, so I'm not concerned with that. And then I did add these little vents up top here, which I think I discussed in another video, but I literally put pieces of 1.5 inch PVC pipe through, and it has little screens on the outside and these little vents on the inside. And I just wanted to let the house breathe a little. I don't have any soffit ventilation. I mean, I have a skylight that can be opened and windows up here, but just to keep a constant little bit of air just moving in and out, I think it's kind of healthy. I don't want to have a house that's too tight. And then one thing I'm kind of happy with is this little dormer. I had to move, actually you can see this here. This staging was right over by the windows yesterday and was in the way of doing what I needed to get done today. So I literally just took the boards off the top and dragged it back so that it's out of my way, even though I'm going to have to put it back in there in order to get the high strips of trim in that are going to go and meet that ridge piece. But they haven't been made yet, so they'll wait. Meanwhile, I'll work around this. But anyway, I was able to get this nice little small dormer done. I got the wire hooked to a switch so I can control that light, which will be replaced with a chandelier in due time. So the trim around this was a little dicey, and I did make a couple of mistakes, but in the end, the only mistakes in the end are the ones you don't fix. So I took the time to mess around and make adjustments so it looks kind of cool, and it's got a big sill up there to put a plant or something on. And then you've got your trim around the window. So that all came out nicely. And then next along the line here, we're going to work in the upper gable area, but this is a big dormer, and that's it needs maybe one more coat of joint compound that can be sanded out and painted. So these are all things that'll get done within the next couple of weeks. I did lose about a week to doing yard work. The winter finally ended, the snow went away, and then it revealed a huge pile of bark and debris remaining from cutting up a log load of wood over the last couple of years. So finally we cleaned that up and raked the lawn and some things like that. So I didn't get all the time I wanted up here, but in spring you end up with a whole lot to do to clean up yards and get everything looking proper. I still have to take my snow tires off, so that may be a this afternoon project, but I did want to knock out a few hours this morning while I was in the mood. And then I will show you a couple of more details here. I'll climb on down the ladder. And yeah, so Carter's he's the finish man. So this beam across here is Doug Fir. So he sanded out these beams up under the balcony area so that they got one coat of poly on them. He sanded them and put a coat of poly, but you get a nice kind of look under the balcony. I didn't need to insulate it. It's not getting sheetrocked. Sheetrock will stop where that insulation is. So this just creates a nice little open area that's kind of pretty. And then eventually these stairs will get some more polyurethane and they'll get prettied up. But my goal right now is to get all this upper stuff done so we can make this staging go away. And then it will get much more open in here. You see my wife's calling in, so I'm going to let this be the end of this little video, and I will get back to you again soon. Have a good day.